Hello, everyone. Today, we were going to talk about a subject that has been trending in the news. It's been all over Instagram, all over Facebook. It's been all over all of my IRS, news articles and tax articles. And we're going to talk about this. People have been asking me about it. What's my opinion? What do I think we should do? What are we going to do about this army of IRS agents that are getting hired? What are we going to do about it? So that's what I'm going to talk about tonight. And if I haven't said it already, welcome to the Bottom Line Live. I'm going to share this to the Wealth Dynamics group. And as always, there are no stupid questions. If you have any question on bookkeeping, on the subject we're talking about, now is the time. And this doesn't seem to be working. Hopefully my internet's not going down. Let's take a look. So if you have any questions having to do with the topic, if you have a topic you'd like to bring up for next week or for another week that I should talk about, now's the time. Put it in the chat if you're in my Zoom. If you are in, wow, my Facebook Live is like not working, so I'm trying to make it work. Okay, let me try again. If you're on my Facebook Live, feel free to type the question in there as well. Let me try this again. Wealth Dynamics. I think it's not letting me share. I don't know why. Maybe Facebook, maybe the group, who knows? I'll try again later. Good. So as I was saying, I know bookkeeping is always our favorite subject. And it's what everyone wants to talk about on the Thursday evening. And so I come every week and I tell you guys tips. I tell you, new IRS things coming up. I tell you deadlines coming up. So especially for business owners, this is the place to be on a Thursday night. All right, guys. So what are we going to do about this army of IRS agents being hired? I keep reading these articles and there is 87,000 in the new bill or whatever it is, IRS agents that are going to be hired. What does that mean to us as small business owners? It means that you are much more likely to be audited than ever before. And things that you've been getting away with that didn't seem to be causing any problems, you might not be able to continue getting away with. Now, it is the IRS, and they're not very efficient. So it's possible that 87,000 new people, IRS agents, won't make a difference, and all it'll do is make your tax refund faster. But I would say better be safe than sorry. And 87,000 new IRS agents is most likely going to mean a lot of audits. How many audits can each IRS agent do? I mean, maybe it also means that they'll answer their phone faster, because if you've ever tried to call them, so maybe there's some pros in this tragedy that's coming, but there's no way to really know yet. So the only thing we can do is plan, how are we going to protect ourselves? What are we going to do from the potential audits that are 87,000 times more likely to happen now? What are we going to do? Okay, so I'm going to answer that. And again, you guys tell me if you have any questions. But the way to not get audited is to have your bookkeeping done right. So what does that mean? It means that anything that you take as a business expense needs to be a business expense. Anything you take a deduction for. And what does that mean? You have to look at all the different parts of it, right? It has to have the intention of being a business expense. If you go to, Cancun with your family and you want to say it's a business trip because you brought up business one time, the IRS might not agree with you. But let's say you're going on a cruise ship in the Bahamas and you're going to do a seminar on business. And that is the reason that you're going to that cruise ship. Can you also do fun stuff while you're there? Sure. Do you also have to eat while you're there? Sure. But what was the intention? What was the reason for the trip? It was a business intention. It was a business reason. And that is what is, it has to be an ordinary and usual business expense. So a business seminar is an ordinary and usual business expense. A trip to Cancun with your family is a red flag as a business expense. So, okay, so that's one of the things. It has to have a business purpose. It has to be documented. So you need receipts and you need information. So let's say you go, to dinner and you say this is a business dinner. Okay, who were you having dinner with? Were you having dinner with a client? Were you having dinner with your family and you just decided that it was a business expense? You need to write that down on the receipts. And not only do you need to write it down, you need to keep those receipts. Where do you need to keep them? You can either scan them into your QuickBooks app or, other software that you have. In QuickBooks Online, for instance, there's about 4 different ways to get the receipts into QuickBooks. You can take a picture of it with your app. You can download it in your computer. You can email it to yourself. And I feel like there's one other way that I can't even think of. So that's one thing. If you feel like, maybe you might lose it or something, just put it straight into your bookkeeping software. Also, make a folder, get an envelope, and just label it 2022. And every single receipt that has to do with business, just put it in there. You might never have to look at it again, but you might need it. If you were to ever get audited, you need to be able to pull up every single receipt and prove each business expense, each business deduction. So how are you going to do that? You need the receipts. If you have recurring, automatic business things, make sure that you keep the invoices and receipts. They oftentimes get emailed to you. They get mailed to you. Either make a digital folder for all of those receipts or print them out and put them in your folder. If they come in the mail, either scan them in or put them in your folder or your envelope. It doesn't have to be complicated, but there needs to be information that you can prove that it was a business expense. If you don't have the receipt, you can't necessarily prove it was a business expense. Okay, so you have the bank statement or you have the credit card statement and it says Home Depot, but how do they know what you bought at Home Depot? So you need the receipt. Okay, so you went to a restaurant and went to dinner, but how do they know? How are you going to prove it was a business reason? So you have to be able to write on the receipt or put in your bookkeeping who were you having to dinner with? Was it a client? Was it a fellow business owner? You have to show it. So the way to not get effed over is to not do it wrong in the first place. Do it right, keep it clean. You don't want to pay too much in taxes, but at the same time, you want to pay what you legally owe, right? So you want to legally do whatever you can to make it so you don't owe taxes. And that's where tax planning comes in. And if you haven't done your tax planning yet for 2022, 2023, now is the time. If you haven't done your bookkeeping yet for 2021, you're crazy, but do it now. Get it done. Your CPAs are probably screaming and yelling. Okay, let me see if I have any questions yet. In Zoom, I don't. Okay, so what else is it? Okay, so you keep your receipts. You make sure that, you keep your receipts and your invoices. You make sure that when you say that something is a business expense, it is an actual business expense. It actually has a business purpose. Okay, what else can we do? So you have accurate bookkeeping. A lot of business owners come to me and they have businesses. They've been in business for, many years. Honestly, I had someone come to me a few weeks ago who was at a 700,000 revenue and they had no bookkeeping. So I don't know what you do in that situation. I guess you come up with numbers or you do that thing, right? You go hide in a closet with a box of receipts and all of your statements, and you stay there for 3 days tearing your hair out and coming up with numbers for your CPA. So that's one option, at least 3 days, and with some strong coffee and maybe something stronger, but definitely some strong coffee. Your other option, and I've seen people do this, and I don't recommend it. I don't recommend either of these. People make up numbers sometimes. They go, oh, I think this is about right. And they send that to their CPA. And their CPA can only, or their taxpayer can only do taxes based on the numbers that you give them. So you give them your numbers, they file your taxes. Are your numbers right? You don't know. Are you missing deductions if you spent 3 days with bank statements and receipts? You don't know. You might be missing things. So what is the way to un-F it up is to do it as you go. Do it right from the beginning. Because if you're guessing, you're literally tempting the bull with a red flag and waving to the IRS and saying, come audit me because my numbers are all big guesses. And other than being practically illegal, you're just tempting fate. Okay, I've got a question or a comment here from Brandon. Brandon says, love you, Maya. Thank you, love you back. And your team has a nightmare to untangle my 2021 books. The way you guys coordinate between myself and your team is state of the art. Uncat software, it's our new software we started using, is a game changer for us. Thanks for implementing that in your service. Now it's so easy to keep records and help categorize the uncategorized. That's awesome. I love that. Brandon is a new client of ours. He came in. He had been trying to do, what do you want me to do again, Brandon? The waving the red flag to the IRS, like they're a bull gonna come charge at you. So Brandon came to us and he had been basically trying to do the bookkeeping himself, and he had outside, what do you call it? Software that he used, and it was coming in and not connecting to his income in QuickBooks. So all of his income was duplicated, like as in there twice for about, what, a year and a half, Brandon, maybe 2 years. And we went through and had to, my new favorite term, un-F it up. We went through with a fine tooth comb. I think we're just at the very tail end. His CPA is emailing me, chomping at the bit, but we're working on it. We probably need one more meeting, Brandon, to finalize the last pieces of income we're trying to figure out. But we went through and organized, and you know what? It sucked for him. It took way longer than he wanted it to. It was a bigger mess than he expected or, was hoping, because he thought the bookkeeping was kind of okay, but we had to like practically strip it down and redo it. And sometimes in bookkeeping, just like in construction, you come in, you rip the floor out and you're like, oh, it's all rotten underneath, and you have to fix it. So it is that way sometimes. So also, Brandon, thank you for your patience. She knows how much you guys are doing. That's okay. Oh, his CPA, yeah. But she is chomping at the bit, as are all CPAs. My bookkeeping director, Celeste, that a lot of you guys know, is just working so much overtime right now to try to get everybody's final things out to their CPAs. We know that our tax deadline is the end of the month, and if the CPAs don't have it by the end of the month, they're gonna probably kill us. So we're asking, all, and it's not our clients that we've had for a while. It's mostly kind of the new projects that we've taken on in the last few months that are trying to get 2021 stuff finalized, and we were asking them questions and they got back to us, and then we finally have to wrap it up. So we are in the thick of tax season, in the thick of it. If you have a question for Celeste that is not having to do with your 2021 books, you're probably going to get a reply from our new customer service person. We actually had to hire a customer service person because we had so many emails and so much traffic that we weren't able to. And I promise all of my clients that we always reply within 1 business day, and it was starting to become impossible. So we hired a customer service rep. So now it is again possible to reply to everyone. Okay, let me check. And thank you, Brandon, for that glowing recommendation. Let me see if I have any questions. No. Okay, so back to IRS, 10 million new IRS agents being hired. No, what is it? It is 87,000 new IRS agents being hired. What are we going to do about it? So we do not guess. We do not try to figure it out in 3 days at the end of the year. I'm not naming any names, some of my clients that tried to do that. We do accurate, timely bookkeeping. We do it on time. We do it perfect. We have all the information in there. so that if you were to ever get audited, you could prove every single expense is a business expense. Your books are so neat and perfect that there's nothing for the IRS to ask about. They can ask to see your receipts and you show them and they go, great, this looks good. And these are your books, guys. So if you tell me that those clothes were a business expense and I tell you, listen, the IRS won't agree with you on that. The IRS says that clothes can't be a business expense unless they have your logo or they're specifically a uniform. For instance, if you're a construction worker and you buy a hard hat, steel toe boots, okay, those can be a business expense. If you are an actor or an influencer and you buy a dress for an event or a suit and you don't have your logo in it or anything like that, the IRS will not agree with you. Now, these are your books. So if you tell me, no, it's a business expense, I'll put it in there as a business expense. But if you get audited, you're the one that's going to owe taxes and penalties on it. So keep that in mind. I'm using your information that you give me, and your CPA is using your information that you give them, and the IRS, if they don't agree with you, will audit you. And I know that you can tell me that it was for business purposes, but there are certain rules that they have. And if you don't want to follow them, just realize that one, you might get audited. Obviously, anybody might get audited at any time. You try to have as least red flags as possible so that you don't get audited. But if you do get audited, you will probably lose as a small business owner if you're taking those things. Now, if you're a giant corporation and you have enough money to throw at lawyers and accountants and all this stuff, and you're going to demand that those clothes stay in as a business expense, maybe you'll win. Maybe you'll win. But do you have the time and the money and the patience to go through that with the IRS? Most of us don't. We're even my bigger small business owners, you're making 15 million, in a year. Do you want to spend a few of those millions arguing with the IRS? Probably not. So we want to do it right the first time. We want to put them in there as close to following the rules as possible, and do it with the right intention of what is a business expense and what does the IRS consider a business expense. I have clients who don't agree with the IRS and they say, no, that's a business expense, and that's fine. I will tell them, here's what the IRS says. The rest is on you. That is your liability if you are demanding that that's a business expense. And it's on you if you were ever to get audited. Okay, what are a few other things that come up as a big red flag to the IRS that will make you more likely to get audited? Let's say you are an LLC taxed as an S corp or a corporation taxed as an S corp, and you don't have the owner of the company, which is maybe you and your spouse, on payroll. That is a big red flag to the IRS, and they are likely to audit you, or more likely to audit you rather, if you are not on payroll as a business owner. Now, if you're an LLC not taxed as a S corporation, or if you're a sole proprietor, you don't have to have payroll. But as soon as you elect to be taxed as an S corporation, you have to be on payroll as a business owner. If you're not on payroll, again, you're waving a big red flag to the bull that is the IRS, and they are more likely to audit you because they know that you're making a mistake. Are there certain industries that are more likely to get audited? I don't know this for a fact, but I've heard that construction companies and actors are more likely to get audited because their books aren't clean. Like, if you're a CPA, are you likely to get audited? Not really, because probably you know what you're doing and you keep good records. So there are certain industries that you might be more likely to get audited, and you have to be extra careful and keep extra good records. That's just the way it is, Okay, checking one more time. Anybody have any questions? Anything they want to ask about things that might get you audited? Okay, another thing to get audited. Oops. And you have to be extra careful. There we go. I echoed it. Okay, another thing that might get you audited. If you are a small business owner and you have not yet elected to be taxed as an S corp, and you're making over 100,000 in revenue, you are now a big fish in that sole prop LLC pond. Most people who do, Schedule C, meaning they're a sole prop, or an LLC taxed as a sole prop, they aren't making that much money. They're usually under 100,000, quite a lot under 100,000. I mean, think of what is like the average salary in the United States. I think last time I looked was like 37,000 or something, right? So as a business owner, if you were turning in a tax return at 100,000 as a sole proprietor, it's a red flag for the IRS. And if it gets more and more and more, let's say you're at 200,000, it's a red flag. You're more likely to get audited. What should you do at that point? You should elect to be taxed as an S corp and sign up for payroll. Am I saying you have to do this all yourself? No, absolutely not. We can do the S corp election. We can set you up on payroll. As I've said before, my company mission statement is complete and perfect financial records for the business owner's peace of mind. So we are trying to give you peace of mind. I'm not telling you all this. I mean, yes, I'm telling you all of this so you're sufficiently scared, because you can't just not look at it. You can't just put it over there and not care about it. It's important. It's something that you have to do, because if you don't do it right the first time, it could cost you a lot of time and money and heartache. And I want to save you that. It might not. You might never get caught, and I hope that for all of us, but for all of our sakes, but you might, and you could have had a chance to do something about it before it happened if somebody like me would have yelled loud enough. So here I am. Let's do the bookkeeping right, so the taxes are right, so the documentation is good. And that is really your best way to protect against this new onslaught army of IRS auditors that are being hired. Okay. And what is another very important final way that I'm going to say that you need to protect yourself as a small business owner, or even as an individual, from getting audited? So this, again, none of these things are going to say that you won't get audited, but that if you do get audited, you can do something about it. So what is this final way? Get big fast. Don't hang out at 100,000, at 60,000, at even $1 million, and I'm talking to myself as well. Grow big enough, fast enough, so if you did ever get audited, you can hire an accountant to come in, or a bookkeeper to come in and help you organize all the little pieces of paper. You can hire help, and it doesn't stop you. If you're a little guy, if you started out, or you're hanging out at 100,000 and you're just comfortable, an audit could stop you in your tracks. It could stop your entire company. If the IRS comes in and says, oh, by the way, you owe us 25,000, that could shut down your company if you're small like that. So don't hang out at being small. Think big, Greg Cardone talks about this. A lot of people talk about this. Like, there are points where it feels comfortable and you're like, I don't need to make a lot of money. It's true, you don't need to, but you have a responsibility to your employees, to your family, because if something were to happen and you aren't big enough to protect against it, that you can't go, okay, fine, here's this 25,000, or here's this thing, or here's hiring a full-time bookkeeper because now I need it, or a lawyer to protect against the IRS, whatever it is. If you can't do that and keep going in your business, you will shut down. And there's so many small businesses that shut down each year. I don't want any of you to be one of them. So don't rest on your laurels. Don't stop at comfortable. Keep going. Get big enough. Have perfect bookkeeping. Have all of your legal ducks in a row, and keep going. Get big fast. That's where you're going to protect. Don't do anything illegal. Don't not pay your taxes, But don't pay too much taxes either. Do everything you can to legally not have to pay the taxes, or as much taxes as possible to not have to pay it. But don't sit. I've got some agreement in my comments. Luba says truth. Yeah, don't sit at comfortable, because it won't be comfortable for long. I mean, come on, inflation, COVID, employees. I've got employees out sick this week. It's like very painful. We have to scramble, and it's tax season. There's so many things that can go wrong, not even including IRS audits. But if you sit at comfortable, you will not be comfortable for long. You will shrink, you will get stopped in your tracks, and you have a responsibility to your employees, to your family, to your community, to be successful and to continue. So that's what I want to say. If you need help on bookkeeping, reach out to me. If you haven't done your 2021 bookkeeping yet, literally, I don't know. I don't even want to say come now, because I don't know that we would get it done on time at this point. You're about out of luck, but you still need to get it done. So come now. If you haven't done your 2022 tax planning, now is the time. Reach out to me. We'll set you up with a tax planner, so that you can pay less taxes for 2023, or for 2022 tax year. If you come to me at the beginning of 2023 and want to know how you can pay less taxes for 2022, there's not very much you can do once the year's over. So tax planning is vital. Not stopping when you're comfortable is vital. I know it sucks. There's this point where you make more money and it seems like it all goes to the IRS, but you got to keep going and get past that so that you can do more cool tax planning stuff. Obviously, some of the things I'm saying here, like when you should S Corp, you need or elect to be taxed as an S Corp, you definitely want to check with your CPA with your specific situation. If you have other things that make it not the right thing to do, you want to coordinate that, but those are the general rules. I have a purpose for business owners to succeed. I think it's important, like I said, for your family, for your employees, for your clients, for your community, and for the American economy. It's important for us all to succeed. It's our responsibility and our duty. So if you do need any help, if you have any questions on this that I haven't covered, please reach out to me, Maya@solvencynow.com. My website is solvencynow.com. I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram under Solvency Now, even under Maya Weinreb. And I am here to help. So if you need anything, even if it's not my company that can help you, I have CPAs I can refer. I've got tax planners I can refer. Whatever you need, reach out. We can help you. I have a personal purpose of you succeeding as a business owner. It's important to me. I want us all to succeed. So, and if I hope at the end of this, you feel a little bit more cause and a little bit calmer about what we're going to do about this army of IRS agents that are being hired, because you can do something about it. We are going to make it. We are going to be fine, but we have to do something about it. We have to keep growing. We have to keep going. And we have to have all our legal ducks in a row and perfect bookkeeping and perfect records, because that's what you need. So hopefully this helped. And again, reach out if you have any questions, and I'll see you next week at the Bottom Line Live, 7 p.m. Eastern, right here. Thank you so much for your time. Bye-bye.